Hi, everybody. This is Lon from Raleigh, North Carolina, local pundit. I also am the author of the Guild Ball blog Momentous Tackle. So I've been playing Guild Ball since about late season one, mainly Fisherman. My buddy Brian has asked me today to record some of my thoughts on the season four stuff. So today we'll be covering first up Union. So I've been playing Union on or off for about a year. They're kind of my backup guild if I want to give old Shark and Corsair a little bit of a break. I've also had some really great Union players locally who I've been able to learn from, and so I think I've had a decent amount of exposure. So hopefully some of this will be valuable to you all. So first we'll start up with Blackheart. Season 4 Blackheart, he still does Blackheart stuff. It's a little bit of everything. Does some damage, plays some ball, can help his team do stuff too. Overall, I still think Blackheart is probably second fiddle to Rage. Maybe kind of the hipster choice if people want to get away and do something a little bit different. Um, However, I do think Rage is about to pick up a few bad matchups. So that's probably going to give Blackheart a little bit more playability, and I think that he will make more rosters. Overall, I give him a +0. I tend to rate things either plus or minus, so between -5 and +5, 0 being neutral. So second up, we got Vet Rage. Vet Rage lost his Usurper, which is an ability that everyone forgot to use, and he also has a worse tackle now. He's pretty much still the exact same model. I asked Jamie Perkins about this directly, and I said, "Hey, Jamie, I think a lot of people are going to be really surprised that Rage didn't change at all." And his answer was kind of, if something is not getting better, then it's effectively getting worse, which I can respect that. I'm not sure I 100% agree with it when it comes to Rage, though. I think that Rage, statistically, in season three, has had one of the highest um, win rates, captains, and has almost no bad matchups. So I would have expected him to get toned down just a tiny amount more, but that's okay. I think he does pick up a couple of bad matchups. For example, I think he's gonna struggle with Skatha the same way that he kind of struggles a little bit with Shark, and I think that he'll also struggle with Scalpel. So we'll see how that goes. I really do feel like he's still very hard to invalidate his influence, and he also is picking up a super good model in Fangtooth, which we'll talk about in a minute. So overall, I'm just going to go +0 for that rage. Then we got mascots. So first we got Coin. Coin got his 2-inch reach back. Yay! So I had really missed the 2-inch reach on Coin. I liked that a lot. He was pretty fast guy, so he can get in there and crowd people and whatnot. And he also picked up a kick die. It's cool. So he actually, if he coffers himself, he can bonus time that kick into I think it's a 3-4 kick if memory serves. So that's pretty neat. I think that Coin pretty solidly is the first choice in mascot from now on. We'll see how it goes because he's just always bringing that pseudo 2 influence is pretty powerful in a mascot in and of itself. And then constrict is pretty situationally strong as well, and follow up is pretty good for a mascot. Then we got Strongbox. Oh, Coin, I'm giving a +2 for the +2-inch reach in the kick die. Strongbox, I think Coin getting better while Strongbox getting worse by losing a kick die just really makes it so you're probably going to be playing Coin almost all the time. I think Strongbox is still just a little bit too slow. Yeah, he can impact things with his aura, but he's just not fast enough to get to where he really needs to be. I think he's going to give him a -1, and some of that is because he lost the kick die, and then some of that is just because Coin has gotten better. Then we got the dynamic duo themselves, Avarice and Greed, the probably one of the most changed cards in Guild Ball, and it looks like didn't change him quite as much this time. So we see Avarice picking up +1 inch on the jog. It's pretty good because he is a model who wants to spend his influence punching things. So not having to sprint or charge as frequently is definitely nice for him. I'm not really sure why they felt it was necessary for him to lose his momentum on that 3 damage double push. And I'm not really sure why he should have lost get that one. The +2 when greed is attached. Um, I mean, I guess they said they wanted to make it simple, but if you really boil down to it, Avarice and Greed is like probably one of the most complicated models in Guild Ball. So I don't really know that I buy the argument of simplification. I mean, I buy it, but it's just like, is it really necessary? We're going to take one of the only models in the game that kind of has a two-piece activation and say we need to make it simpler. I mean, Avarice really was only getting played in Season 3 with Corsair, and that was mainly because of the Harpoon. He could just deliver models so easily and layer on the crowds just for massive damage. But other than that, Avarice and Greed really weren't seeing an awful lot of play, so I would have hoped that they had given them just a little bit of a boost instead of kind of kicking them in the gut. I mean, I guess they did get the +1 move, but why would you play Avarice when you could play Fangtooth, who's super awesome now? Overall, I'm going to give Avarice a green -1. Next up, we got Decimate. Decimate, the only change to her, if I recall, is the global second wind change, which, it hits her a little bit, but I don't think that Union specifically minds that as much as some of the teams she was being brought for, like Butchers. So I think she'll still be pretty good in Union. Um, the funny thing about Decimate is she's kind of always that do I take her as my sixth model question, where she is really solid damage output, just very consistent. But at the same time, she's kind of a little bit of a secret striker in that she's so fast and she's got the anatomical and, she can generate the momentous dodges so easily. Um, and she just can get goals at the end of the game. So maybe if you don't necessarily want the dedicated striker and mist, you can continue to bring Decimate, much like you do today. I think that specifically happens on instances where you're receiving. So overall, she took a little bit of a hit due to the second wind change, but it's not that big a deal. Just give her a +0. Oh man, next up is my boy, Fangtooth. You may know that I am the self-proclaimed premier Fangtooth player in the entire world. Um, as far as records are concerned, I would argue I might have the best win record with Fangtooth. So I'm really excited that he has gotten some super love here. Honestly, I think if they had just done the +1 defense and the +1 influence, that probably would have been playable. But instead, he's getting that and a lot more. So they did drop bleed off of him. They gave him a Momentous 2-on-2. But honestly, the Momentous 2 is probably better than the bleed, because you never really took the bleed because you almost always wanted that damage momentously. And you almost always wanted that damage right now. So I think the Momentous 2-on-2 instead of the bleed is probably an upgrade. They also made his 4 damage result Momentous, which is, when you hit it, it's going to be pretty awesome. What else did they do? The biggest things they did to him were on the back of his card. So they made the foul odor enemy only, and they also made Fangtooth Unleashed only hit himself. They did reduce his health a little bit, but I mean it's still 22 boxes resilient, so I think he's not really in any danger. The big changes though, those two traits not affecting the wrong people anymore. That just gives him so much more flexibility in where he can be, where he can stand, when he can do his heroic. I kind of used to unleash on mascots a lot just because they happen to be standing there. Well, that won't happen anymore. The fact that you can do unleashed on top of something like a tulip or a bloody coin or something is just going to be monstrous. The +2 damage to playbook results, especially when he's got the pretty easy momentous 2 damage on 2. Can you think about just swinging 3 momentous 4s? Even in a not so perfect situation. I mean, he can even knock down his own target if absolutely necessary. And then on top of that, he can get red furied. He can get red furied. So you're thinking about, either unmaskings or, Momentous 6 damage, Momentous 4 damage, non-Momentous 5s on Red Fury is pretty nuts. The only real downside that I saw on Fangtooth was he lost his 2 damage knockdown on the third column, which was a result that I kind of tended to pick first. Go in with a crowd and knock him down, do 2 damage, get the ball rolling. But in lieu of that, he picks up a double push as well as a single push on 2. So now he's actually got real good counterattack game. So before he didn't have any pushes. His whole entire playbook was just damage and knockdowns and character plays, whatnot. Now he's got pushes where if you're going in on a model with resilience, you pop that resilience, they're going to guarantee counterattack you back unless it's been earlier in the turn that you remove that. So he's got counterattack game, and you really got to be careful about that. There's only, certain kinds of models aren't going to be able to really even go into him now, especially with that double push. So overall, Fangtooth probably got the best changes of anybody in the union, giving him a +4. Next up, Gutter. Gutter didn't change at all, just the mainstay of the guild. She's probably still going to continue to be the most selected squatty. Not really a whole lot to talk about. +0. Hemlock. Hemlock got the global AoE change where they reduced the distance a little bit, and you can place it on the end now. So that affects blind, affects smelling salts too, I think. Yeah. And noxious blast, actually. So all 3 of those get hit by that change. I'm actually really surprised that they didn't tone blind down at all from season, because blind is just kind of one of those feels bad man plays. Especially, like, we'll get to this later, but talking about tentacles, like blind on a mascot is still kind of pretty nuts. I mean, it's not as egregious on Hemlock, I guess. They also bumped her HP by 2, so she went from 10 health to 12 health, which is actually a little bit of a flashpoint. So you're kind of going from, if you think about taking 4 swings on somebody, now you got to do 4 3 damage swings in order to take her out. Whereas on 10 health, you could, do a combination of 2s and 3s. So she's a little bit more survivable, and I think that flashpoint is going to catch people off guard. You can get Noxious Blast off the playbook now. I'm not really 100% sure how good that is in Union specifically, but I do think that it will be good in some of the other teams that she can play for. And then, so overall, I'm going to give her a +1. And next up, we got good old Minx. So the only thing they did to Minx was they gave her the +2 inches on marked target. That might be kind of cool to help set up, charges for Rage or Fangtooth, whatnot, Benediction maybe, some of the slower guys in the team. Again, Minx has always been that model that's kind of like you really want her in your 6, but you just can't figure out how you want to drop. So maybe that helps you out on that a little bit. I still think it's probably a toss-up between like her and Decimate, or Mist if you need the striker. I think it'll be the mark target going up will actually be a little bit cooler in some of her other non-union choices, like Masons might really like that, for instance. Give Hammer a little extra range. She can do it from really far away. Like she can, sprint 9 and mark target. That's pretty nuts. So she can kind of go from one side of the field to the other. But for overall, I'm just going to give Minx +0. I don't think that the mark target is enough to warrant the +1 this time, but we'll see how it goes. And then who we got after this? We've got Rage. Yeah, Rage only lost Maverick. I'm sure that there's times where that matters, maybe with Blackheart, but I mean, I guess only with Blackheart, really, right? Rage I think his biggest issue is that his name is Rage. I think if he was named anything else, you'd see him play a lot more, but he's kind of stuck with Blackheart only. I do think that it pretty much stays the same. The Blackheart, if you want to go for that 2-2 game plan with Blackheart, you probably bring Rage a lot of the time just because you want that tool up, because Blackheart's damage is kind of poop without some help. Overall, +0 on Rage. And then finally, we've got Snakeskin. Oh yeah, Snakeskin I think was one of the very first ones they revealed. Snakeskin got a lot of changes. So she's got a double dodge on 2. Double dodge is a really, really strong result. And she's also got the where did they go, as well as the Momentous 2 damage on 3. Both of those are also really strong. Um, and if I've been playing a little bit of Navigators before the release, just with paper dolls, and man, tackle double dodge, that is a sexy result. So if you can do, she's still holding 4 influences. You can do like a where did they go, and do a charge to hit that tackle double dodge into a kick. That's a really powerful little set of plays there. So I think that Snakeskin is a contender. I think she is a great flex player. She's got some really great defensive tech in the Beautiful and the Charmed Male that can put her up to 5-0. She's really hard to control with ranged plays, like Deadbolts and, your Puppet Master, stuff like that. Um, so I think she's a really nice choice for maybe your 6th player on the team. She's kind of the other side of the coin to Decimate, where Decimate is very consistent damage, great mobility, and then can kind of serve as a striker in a pinch. Where Snakeskin is kind of that real good ball handler who, if things have gone wrong, you can count on her to pick up some damage and poison some stuff. Minx and Decimate and Snakeskin, I think, are kind of all vying for that final spot, and I think you pick them based on what team you're against. For Snakeskin specifically, I say things like Morticians, Engineers, things where we can get good value out of the Beautiful. Overall, I'd give Snakeskin +2. So guild-wide thoughts? I think that the Union is still basically going to be the same powerhouse that they were in Season 3. They got a little bit, lost a little bit of things here and there. But I do think that the fact that Fangtooth is so good and Snakeskin is such a good sometimes choice that they pretty much stay flat. I think that they have a few more bad matchups, um, but those bad matchups are ones where Blackheart can step in and still have a pretty good fighting chance at winning the game. So I'm pretty sure that there's still going to be, that lower 50s to mid 50s win rate type team, and then in the hands of the right person, they're just going to eat people alive. They're going to continue to do it in Season 4. Um, as a tournament player, you should definitely be prepared to play Union for sure. And that's it for Union. For Union. For Union.